Well, hello there, and welcome to the living room of the dollhouse for another reading from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and you Stelfers for November 26th, the day of distinctive manner. And here at the top of the page is a visual representation of the day of distinctive manner. Well, we have us an image of, can you guess what it is? Probably not. It's a slipper. That's right. At least that's what it looks like to me. If, it was profile-like. That's right. Hey, does that speak to the day of distinctive manner? I don't know. Maybe a little bit. But hey, you know what? Maybe we'll make some connotations as we get on further with the read. Maybe you're a comfortable individual, that kind of thing. But who's to say? In any event, not altogether all too important. No, what is important, though, is it's November 26th, and so I assume it's someone's birthday. That's right. So if it's your birthday today, I just want to say happy birthday. That's what's important here. But if you find this video late, I don't know, days, weeks, months, whatever the case may be, well, I just want to say I hope you had a happy birthday if that's the case. But for everybody else who's joining us, ideally to celebrate the November 26th birthday, I just want to say hello, welcome, and I hope you enjoy yourself. Now, before I dive in with the redirect, something I like to do around these here parts, and that's roll some dice. This is the DykASSt birthday broadcast, so I like to live up to the namesake, but I do so, more importantly, for synchronicity's sake. Oh, and how about that? I rolled some doubles there. That's right, straight to jail. All right, a 4 and 4 for an 8. Now, what is synchronicity? You're probably wondering. Well, it's just you get out in the world and letting the universe show you it's with you on your path. And you need, I guess, a little bit of a benchmark, some kind of signpost or a visual cue to show you that the universe is doing as much. So why not a mutually agreed upon number? That's right. They're all out there in the world, so why not get a number going? Now, you don't have to go with what I rolled you, but it is probably ideal you take your own set of dice. That's right. So you can ascribe directional values to number sets and time limits with which to go in those directions. But once you've got all that established, you find your starting point, you roll your direction, your time limit, have either my numbers or yours in mind, well, you head on out and you stay eagle-eyed for signs. That's right. You're out there to kind of see what the universe puts down in front of you. That's right. So you got to take the blinders off. We go through this life kind of just singular focus, headed in our path, running our errands, and we kind of, we don't notice the things going on around us. But today, you're out there to see the things that the universe puts in front of you there. So in any event, that's right. You stay eagle-eyed for your numbers specifically, but also anything that might present, because you know what? There might be a little bit of a theme that starts to come into place. That's right. Hey, maybe you start seeing folks wearing slippers. It could be something real innocuous like that, but an anomaly altogether. Now, I know that doesn't really translate to anything, but who's to say? It's just to show you that it's with you there on your path, because that is something rather anomalous. That's right. So in any event, like I said, you set off on your path. Maybe you get to the end of your time limit. Will you stop, compose yourself? Once again, look for your signs. Hey, maybe the number 44 bus pulls up right in front of you. It might just so happen you got perfect change in your pocket to ride the bus. But maybe you're someone who doesn't do that kind of thing. You abhor that. You got your own car. You don't need to ride the bus. Well, you know what? This is a day of expanding our horizons, taking the blinders off, like I said. So jump on there. Roll yourself a time limit for how long to ride the bus. And maybe it goes a little longer than that, insofar as where it's going before it stops. But, maybe the next stop, that's when you're getting off. And hey, wouldn't you know it, maybe once again, maybe it's like the number 8 stop. Well, there you go. The universe is lining things up for you. So get off the bus. You don't want to ride it, right? And I don't know, maybe you get out and then you find yourself, maybe you're on 44th Street. And hey, you know what? Maybe you look up at the building you're in front of and it's got an 8 in the address. Things like that can just start to line up. So you know what? Head on into that building, see what you see. Maybe it's a business. And you know what? Maybe they just so happen to sell footwear, the comfortable kind of footwear, of distinctive manner, if you like. I know this sounds probably pretty, high and lofty outside the realm of possibility, but you never know until you get out there. And the whole idea is that you see, taste, touch, and feel the magic. Oh, maybe even smell the magic. If it's a distinctive manner kind of footwear shop, it's going to just have that nice scent of leather, I imagine. That's right. In any event, not the best example, but I think you get the idea. Just get out there and let the universe show you what it's got in store for you. When you take off the blinders, and you know what? It might just be even more exciting than I told you. But I think the idea being, once you see, taste, touch, feel, and smell the magic, You're going to start to get this captivating idea. Like, this is pretty interesting stuff. Anyway, that's what I hope for you here on your birthday. In any event, let's dive into it. I think you get the idea. Your month is November, your day the 26th, and your sign is 3 to 5 degrees Sagittarius, of the Sagittarius I period specifically. And your quality and elements is mutable fire. All right, let's dive in, shall we? November 26th, the day of distinctive manner. Those born on November 26th display a particularly distinctive manner when doing most things. Hardly cut from the standard mold, those born on this day stand apart from their fellow human beings. Their ideas tend toward the philosophical and expansive, but at the same time manifest a markedly pragmatic, down-to-earth streak. Highly focused on accomplishment and achievement, November 26 people nonetheless view their own creative work or personal development as being more important than all the honors and rewards the world has to offer. And some born on this day even come to see living itself as a creative endeavor, and thus deeply value the wealth of everyday experience. And yet at the same time, their minds soar with the most fanciful and romantic ideas. And since it is impossible for November 26 people to give up either the practical or the imaginative sides of their personality, they must attempt a synthesis of the two. This seeming contradiction can occupy a great part of their energy for many years. But if they can find a way to reconcile these sides, there is no end to the accomplishments they are capable of achieving. And usually the key to this synthesis is life experience. But until this synthesis occurs, those born on this day may find themselves swinging back and forth every few years from basically logical, pragmatic endeavors to more fanciful ones. A measure of success may be achieved on either side of the spectrum, but a vaguely dissatisfied feeling that part of their potential is being wasted will persist. And for November 26 people, relationships with lovers can be problematical, primarily because their individualism and their love of freedom often outweighs their need for a permanent mate. And many born on November 26 are alternately ardent and cool, unable or unwilling to make a lasting commitment. And usually they value friends of the same sex more highly than lovers, and are not only more faithful to these friends, but also capable of greater intimacy with them as well. Ultimately, however, they themselves are usually the ones who do the rejecting in relationships, sometimes out of a kind of first strike mentality where they sense rejection coming and act on impulse. And thus, they can be dangerous people with whom to be involved. Needless to say, November 26 people can be reticent about marriage or taking on the responsibilities of children. And those who continue to remain single may be unhappy from time to time going through life on their own, but feel that this is better than getting tied down in an unalterably permanent situation. And this type of November 26 person likes to flaunt his or her individuality and finds it difficult when social mores become too oppressive. Yet at the same time, emotionally committed or not, most November 26 people move well in society. Only once they figure out what it is they really want to do and integrate the disparate elements, disparate elements of their personality. All right, a little bit stymied by one of the words I couldn't pronounce there. I don't think I've seen it before. In any event, hey, that's been your birthday breakdown. Pretty interesting, I would say. That being said, I like to provide a little bit of a commentary on what we just read, maybe make some connections, connotations with things that I've come across in the past, similarities and such. So let's dive into it. November 26th, the day of distinctive manner. You display a particularly distinctive manner when doing most things. And much to the theme that seems to be lining up with this period, you stand apart from your fellow human beings, which sounds kind of cool to me, right? Hardly cut from the standard mold, the reading claims, with ideas leaning philosophical and expansive. But at the same time, you're pragmatic and down to earth. You are highly focused on your own work and personal development over what the world has to offer for you and your achievements. All right, a seemingly rare and commendable trait, I would argue, at least to me. Quality indeed, by my mind, I wrote. But you also value life as well as living, all right? But also place value in the world of ideas, all right? So you straddle this line between realism and idealism, in philosophical terms, if you like. Realizing the best of both worlds and what they have to offer, I'm assuming. But the reading furthers that since you can't give up either of those dynamics, you must attempt realizing a synthesis of the two, right? Or the old dialectic in philosophical terms also. Something I've been preaching for some time and I can't endorse highly enough. So it's pretty cool that they drilled down on that here for you today. And in your case, it sounds as though the author agrees, lest you vacillate between the two and potentially feel as though your potential isn't being fulfilled. And nobody wants that, right? But I'd say that's part of the experience too, right? And you're all about life's experience. Maybe you have to understand that frustration, perhaps. I don't know, so that you can move on, better realize your potential. That said, the reading examines your penchant for individualism might run contrary to otherwise idealized realizations, or romantic relationships. There it is. So commitment may be a concern both in marriage and family, or at least family building, apparently. Reticent is the word they used, or reserved about it. But it sounds as though even if such concerns apply writ large to everybody on this day, that it's relegated to a type, that is, those who are more concerned with freedom afforded without such ties. Because I imagine there's plenty of people that get into relationships and marriages and build a family who were born on this day, but there's probably some types of you out there who are hard fast against it, who's to say. But regardless, regardless, feeling unhappy from time to time with those relationships. All told, it's quite the interesting breakdown, I would say. Relatively well-rounded, and it broke new ground with regard to the idea of forging one's own without companionship. All right, a lot of times they don't drill down on that. So pretty interesting in my mind that they, like I said, broke new ground with it. At least as far as I can recall. There might have been a few other folks out there like that, but here for you is pretty pointed about as much. That being said, that's what I had to say about your birthday breakdown. I got a little stymied in there. That's how it goes with the one shot, one take. So let's move on to your numbers and your planets. All right, your numbers and your planets. Those born on the 26th of the month are ruled by the number 8 as 2 plus 6. That equals 8, right? And by the planet Saturn, and which carries a strong feeling of responsibility and an accompanying tendency toward caution, limitation, and fatalism. Yet for November 26, people who also feel the effect of Jupiter, the planet of expansion and optimism that rules Sagittarius, an inevitable conflict arises between these contrasting influences. Consequently, those born in this day may be alternately hopeful and pessimistic. And often the number 8, people build their lives and careers slowly and carefully. And although they may be actually quite warm-hearted, the Saturnian influences of those ruled by the number 8 often cause them to exhibit a cold and detached exterior. All right. Very interesting. There's that whole dynamic there again. A dichotomy, if you like. All right, what I have to say about your numbers and your planets. The number 8 and the constrictive planet Saturn for strong feelings of responsibility and a tendency toward caution, limitation, and fatalism. All right, I used to think fatalism meant something like fatal, like the death or something like that. But it concerns the idea of fate, all right, preordained kind of things. So you might have that in mind there, who's to say. But the reading relates an inevitable conflict between Saturn and Jupiter. Interesting dynamic, kind of speaks to everything that we've been hearing in the breakdown there a little bit, this dichotomy, all right? First time I recall this actually coming up, which doesn't sound all that bad, all things considered, if that's all there is, all right? But I'm assuming there might be some more, all right? It makes me think that there may have something to do with this idealism-realism dynamic. You're said to possess and success imparted with their synthesis, all right? Again, the key, you got to synthesize those contrasting values, make it into something that works for you. As follows, it seems to me, if you can do the same with any other dichotomies that may present, all the better off you might just be. All right, to say maybe you'll be able to build that career faster and that warm, and you'll be able to warm that cold exterior a little easier. That's right. So, like I said, all these little things they said that you might possess, that seemingly negative stuff, if you're able to synthesize those things together, you're able to overcome them. That's what I'm taking from it. But who's to say? It might be a kind of a salt to taste kind of dynamic there for you. But you know what? At least you hearing it, maybe you put the idea in your head. So that being said, that's your numbers and your planets. Let's move on to your tarot. That's right, the old tarot card. One of the more eclectic of the New Age metaphysical ideologies, if you like. But you know what? We don't have to necessarily take it home with us. We'll start dealing the cards out to inspire what we're gonna do, every move we're gonna make. But hey, it's your birthday. It's ostensibly fun. We might make some more connotations. So let's dive in, see what it has to say. The 8th card of the major arcana is Strength or Courage, which depicts a graceful queen taming a furious lion. And the queen symbolizes the female magician, who can master rebellious energies and stands for moral as well as physical strength. And this card's positive attributes include charisma and a determination to succeed. The negative qualities, however, include complacency and the misuse of power. All right, hey, they didn't really personalize this one for you here, so let's see if I can pick up a little bit of the slack there. Your tarot for is the Strength and Courage card, like I said there. The graceful queen taming the furious lion, or the female magician who masters rebellion. For charisma, determination to succeed, but negative qualities of complacency and misuse of power. So figure out, get a handle on your dichotomies. That's what stands out to me there. Once again, that's what it sounds like. Tame that lion, work your magic. Work your female magic more specifically there. The real versus the romantic, if you like. Once again, I just think they're drilling down on those dichotomies there. And you've got the strength and determination to succeed. Hey, you're going to do well with as much, especially if you realize it in that particular way of doing things, synthesizing them. At least that's what I would argue, to drill home the point once again. Synthesize if you haven't ventured into that particular realm. Any event, that's been your tarot. I know I didn't say much, but that's how it goes sometimes. Hopefully, I inspired something there by saying synthesis again. All right, your tarot in the bag there. Let's move on to your health. All right, your health. November 26th people are usually very energetic, physically and or / mentally. And the more mental types may have to get to work on their bodies, which they tend to forget and neglect. All right, the more physical types usually overdo it in the athletic or sexual areas, or arena rather, and are often drawn to daring and dangerous exploits. And the latter must be particularly careful about injuries to the lower back and the legs. Psychologically, those born on this day must avoid isolating themselves too much, coming to feel that their peculiarities or exceptional qualities make them unfit for normal society, or social life, rather. They may make an effort to keep their culinary life interesting as well as varied, as they tend to get bored with your standard fare and fall into poor eating habits. All right, that was your health. What did I say? Not your typical health entry, kind of, sort of, but they, I don't know, they didn't really get into the way they normally line it up. Let's dive into it, see why I say that. Usually highly energetic, you're physically or mentally, a seeming through line for the Sagittarius period there, interestingly. At least this far. And naturally, mental types, they should exercise to make up for being inactive, if you like. But you know what? A lot of times, that mental stuff just is taxing. I used to operate a forklift, and you know what? I get out of that thing at the end of the day, even though I was sitting down the whole time, exhausted, because you're always on a swivel, right? So for you inactive folks, you're not necessarily inactive, but I think you get my point. Don't discourage yourself there. But the physical types apparently overdo it with the physical activity and are thus they can incite injury. They warn against that. And since you're drawn to danger and daring also. So there's a few of these entries on occasion, and they warn against, even those folks who take all the precautions, they still warn against injury because they get the broken bones and such. Like I said, often gets mentioned with those who are seeking out the danger. Psychologically speaking, they warn of isolation, ostensibly for those who decide to go it alone. All right. Just know that even if you're unfit for society, like you might believe, there's still somebody out there who would appreciate your exploits. I mean, there's too many people on this planet for that not to be true, statistically speaking. It's in finding them that you should probably concern yourself. That's right, finding those people who appreciate it. That should be your concern. So keep your diet varied, it said, and then on account of making up poor decisions that we're just not wanting to eat. You know what? Some of this, that happens to be the case. We're just not interested in it. That being said, that's if it even applies. So maybe you got a great diet. Usually they drill down on you should eat vegetarian or meat because of your Mars energy or this or that. They didn't really say that here for you. Psychologically, a lot of times when I first started these readings, they never really mentioned it. But then as the periods drew on, depending upon the period, they would start focusing on it a lot. Sometimes they wouldn't even mention exercise or health because the psychological was so important. So take note, that side of you that wants to go it alone, well, it might just put a hamper on there, temper back your energy to some extent because you're concerned about that area of your life. A little bit at least, right? So don't let it affect you. But yeah, like I said, maybe concern yourself with finding those folks who do appreciate you, who don't think you fall outside the realm of society there. Or because you do, they find you that much more interesting, right? That's what I would say. In any event, that's been your health. Let's move on to some advice, as if we haven't got enough of that already. Synthesize, I imagine, is going to come up here. Make an effort to get along with others. How about that? You may be more normal than you think. All right, follow your heart, and don't be afraid of giving your love. All right, hey, I'd say that had a lot of value there. Very quick, concise, too. All right, here's what I have to say. Make an effort to get along with others. You probably want someone to appreciate your efforts, I imagine, right? So you don't want to just, incite a bunch of antagonism with the folks who might be drawn to the things that you do and appreciate them. But if your personality gets in the way, hey, you just lost a customer, right, so to speak. And even what else here? You're more normal than you probably think. All right, how about that for bursting your bubble? Oh, the one illusion you probably resigned yourself to accept, that you weren't normal. Yeah. So you know what? Just don't be too hard on yourself there, I think is the point. Follow your heart and don't be afraid. Okay, synthesize. I imagine you can have your individualism and someone you like. Maybe even someone you like that endorses that individualism. That said, there may be a certain amount of compromise baked into that, all right, much as you and everyone else doesn't want to admit. But maybe more so for you. You just gotta shoulder that burden there. You know what? And life's about compromise, or a synthesis, if you like. That's right. It's not the worst thing in the world. You might even discover something new, and you're all about experience. You know what? Let someone else take the wheel for a little bit, get an experience out of it. You might just find you'll like it, and you would have never put yourself in the position of liking something like that to begin with, without their intervention there. So in any event, that's been your advice. So let's move on to your meditation. All right, your meditation. Let's take the energy down a hair. See what they have to say for you here. Something to focus on. The rhythm of breathing is a constant accompaniment of life. Is it now? All right, once more. The rhythm of breathing is a constant accompaniment of life. All right, hey, that's your meditation. It's your birthday. That's just for you. I'm not going to throw my spin or interpretation on it. It would just affect it one way or the other, and that's for you to figure out there. Meditate on if you like. In any event, that being said, your meditation in a can. Let's move on to your strengths and weaknesses. That's right. If you're an objective, practical person, let's hold up that objective mirror. See what we see. Do the work if you like. All right, your strengths. You're interesting. All right. Free-spirited and unique. Oh, those are huge. Those are huge. Those are great strengths, I would argue. Maybe a little bit, I don't know, milk toast if you like, but I don't know. Pretty good. I would love for those to be mine. That being said, let's move on to your weaknesses. Oh, let's turn that objective mirror around to the side that blows up your face and shows off all the blemishes. That's right. Address those things. You got to get the bacteria and garbage out of your pores, right? But you got to be able to see it first. So let's move on to your weaknesses. Your weaknesses. You're troubled, indecisive, and you're inconsistent. Oh, Lord, inconsistent. You know what? Troubled, I don't believe it got mentioned before the Scorpio period. I know you're not a Scorpio, but trouble got mentioned so much in the Scorpio period. So maybe there's a little bit of that carryover. However, maybe it's just that idea of Saturn and Jupiter rulerships and the push-pull, and those contrasting dynamics. Hey, you know what? You have the solution, a synthesis of the two. How to make those work into a new realized idea. Instead, you're philosophical and you're interesting, free-spirited, and unique. Hey, you got this in the bag. You can figure out how to get around that. Also indecisive and inconsistent. Hey, they warned of complacency and a misuse of power. You know what? You just got to get unique about figuring out how to rectify that. At least I would argue. But you know what? You got the will and the drive to succeed, so you're going to figure it out. All right? And even if you don't, well, so be it. You know what? Life's an experience, as we've all come to drill down on. In the event, your strengths and your weaknesses having been gone over, let's move on to those born on this day. And when we get into those born on this day, something I like to examine, outside of finding out who shares your company, which is pretty interesting to see what lottery we drew in that respect. And I want to examine figuring out your passions. That's right, they kind of touched on it. I find it important, and I always bring this up because we want to get out of bed doing backflips in the morning to get into our day, right? But a lot of times I get out and meet folks and ask them what they do, more importantly if they like it, and they don't. And I think it's just because they haven't had the time to put in the work that's required to figure out your passions. We might know what we like to do, but we don't know how to translate that into something viable financially, right? Or sometimes we just don't know what we like to do because, again, we haven't had the time to figure it out. So I think this is the perfect opportunity not only see who shares your birthday, but what they did to get put in the book, to get their name out there in the world. And maybe the things they do weren't their passion, but you know what? Maybe me just putting the bug in your ear to figure out our passions can help you figure it out for yourself. Stir up the fires if you like. So let's see who was born on this day. All right. We start off with Charles Schulz, the cartoonist of Peanuts fame, the creator of Snoopy, Charlie Brown, Lucy, and Linus. We also have Eric Sivareed, a TV newscaster and journalist. We have William Pitt, the elder, British statesman and orator. Eugene Ionesco, a Romanian absurdist playwright. We also have Norbert Wiener, a mathematician and child prodigy and ready for Harvard at age 10. Oh, how about that? We also have Mother Mary Kay Drexel, the founder of Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament for Indians and colored people, heir to a multi-million-dollar bank F.A. Drexel. Not the best title for a school, but you know what? Different times, right? We have Samuel Oreshkiewicz, I'm probably saying that wrong, Reshevsky, chess grandmaster and a writer. Oh, someone dedicated to a board game. How about that? It's probably not the best way of putting that, but hey, let's be pragmatic about it. We have Melanie Kahane, fashion illustrator, interior industrial designer. Rich Little, the impersonator and comedian. Jan Strenerud, football place kicker and Hall of Famer, second in total all-time points. And it could be Jan. I said Jan because I don't know, I'm guessing. In any event, we also have George Siegel, the sculptor. We also have Earl Wild, the pianist. Robert Goulet, the singer and Broadway film actor. Emlyn Williams, I haven't seen that name before. Emlyn Williams, a Welsh poet. We also have Cyril Cusack, Irish stage film actor poet of Between the Acts and Other Poems fame. We also have Pamela Prati, an Italian ballerina. Patricio Alwin Alzacar, the Chilean Democratic president. And who else here? Emery Pozgay, Hungarian Minister of State. Bruno Hauptmann, convicted kidnapper and killer of the Limburg baby, it says. Sentenced to death and executed. You know what? Can't have the good without the bad, I would argue. So it's interesting to see. I didn't know that person. I had probably heard of him, though, having heard of the Limburg baby. Anyway, moving on, we finish off with Queen Maud, the Norwegian royalty, rather. And that has been those born on this day. I know it's a tall ask, big order to, take inspiration from our own passions, from the accomplishments of others. But like I said, sometimes it's just interesting to find out the lottery we drew. And maybe me just putting the bug in your ear about as much can help with that. But you know what? Hey, maybe you're like, you know what? I like to draw. I'm going to be a cartoonist. Hey, you know what? You got a long road and struggle ahead of you, as popular as that profession is. But you know what? Don't let that dissuade you. Do that synthesis. That's right. But hey, there's all sorts of other things folks do. Dancers, film actors, writers, athletes. That's right. Don't be kidnapping no babies, though. That ain't you can't synthesize your way out of that one, I'd argue. All right. In any event, that's been those born on this day, which essentially rounds out your birthday read, except to say your season is fall. Your sign, once again, is Sagittarius, of the Sagittarius I period specifically. And your quality and elements is mutable fire. And this has been November 26th, the day of distinctive manner, from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Just Elfers. I have an affiliate link for this book down in the description if you're interested in picking up a copy and diving in further with other people's birthdays. Save you the hassle of having to type it in a browser there. That's right, just click on the link. That being said, this makes a great coffee table book if you do find yourself in the position of not wanting to be isolated, maybe bring some company in, ostensibly to celebrate your birthday, perhaps. Hey, it's going to get the party started, get the conversation going, get to know some folks. Then be like, that's not me at all. Just maybe like you were doing with your read today. But you know what? Maybe other folks see that it's right on the money. Who's to say? It could be. That being said, that's not what's important here. What's important here is it's your birthday, and like I said at the top, wishing you a happy birthday. I don't think we made any connotations with the slipper there, but hey, maybe that makes all the sense in the world to you. I don't know. In any event, for everybody else who joined us, I just want to say I hope you enjoyed yourself and you come back and join us for your birthday read. With that said, before I forget, your daily numbers. That's right, your 4 and your 4 for an 8. Get out there and let the universe show you it's with you on your path. See, taste, touch, feel, maybe even smell the magic of as much. And I think if you do, give it out there, give it a try, and you even get just a little hint of that magic, you're going to see why I recommended it. All right, once again, happy birthday. Take care of yourselves. Don't forget to synthesize. That's right, don't forget. All right, take care.